Memories of the past began to attack me. Do you remember the movie More Than Blue, starring Liu Yihao and Chun Yi-han in 2018? This is a sadomasochistic masterpiece that torments hundreds of millions of viewers. Every tear she sheds falls on the hearts of the audience. But after the release of this film, it has been considered poor by many people. It is a remake of the classic Korean film, A Story Sadder Than Sadness. The movie uses the ultimate love and fulfillment to interpret the most piercing pain of youth. What kind of story has caused heated discussions? Let's taste it together today. Please sit down. The story officially begins. The male advocate Jakai suffered from hereditary leukemia. His father died of the disease, and his mother learned that he was ill. She left a sum of money and ruthlessly abandoned him, making him live alone at the age of 16. Closing his heart in the double torture of loneliness and illness. In the days that followed, Zhang Jakai fell into a trough in his life, desperate and closed in his heart. Until that twilight afternoon, in the empty playground, he finished his run and lay out of breath on a bench to rest. He was suddenly awakened by a puff of smoke. This person is Song Yuanyuan. Her parents and sister died in a car accident, leaving her alone. She also lives alone in the world, with the same confusion and loneliness hidden between her eyebrows and eyes. Song Yuanyuan handed the cigarette to Jakai. This caused a misunderstanding among the instructors. The instructor grabbed his hair and left. Zhang Jakai met Song Yuanyuan for the first time in the playground and fell in love at first sight. Didn't even introduce himself. Can you fall in love at first sight? He said that if love needs to be explained, then no one in the world will suffer because of it. At this point, the two souls abandoned by the world saw the familiar desolation in each other's eyes. They became the only light and salvation in each other's dark lives. They all understood what it was like to be left behind by the world, and they empathized without saying a word. Her sunshine opened his originally closed heart. After that, they were admitted to the same university. In honor of this luck, Zhang Jakai and Song Yuanyuan agreed to celebrate a birthday that belonged to the two of them together. Under the red light, Song Yuanyuan smiled and took out the exquisitely packaged gift. Zhang Jakai took the watch, and his fingertips touched the slightly cool metal. But there was a hot warmth in his heart. Their relationship has long transcended the ordinary definition, taking care of each other like family. They are even closer than lovers. The longer they get along, the more they marvel at how well they fit together. Both of them like to read comics and eat instant noodles, and these small things in common are like bonds. This tightly entangles two lonely souls, allowing them to find an irreplaceable sense of belonging on an unfamiliar campus. In the eyes of outsiders, the relationship is ambiguous and somewhat inexplicably alienated. But only they know that this is from high school, the pattern they live on. They all like to eat ice in winter. They like rain. They like to have each other's seasons, be each other's indispensable partners. In a rain, the two ate popsicles in the rain together, and then returned to Jakai's house. So, after entering the house, Jakai took it to Yuanyuan to dry his clothes, and Yuanyuan shyly asked Jakai to turn around and not peek. In a small and ambiguous environment, Yuanyuan took the initiative and proposed to live with Jakai, and kissed Jakai. Jakai was not as happy as he imagined, but subconsciously took 2 steps back, looking miserable. Since then, Yuanyuan has lived in Jakai's house, and the relationship between the two has become closer and closer. From that day on, Yuanyuan opened a window for Jakai. It was the window that originally trapped him in loneliness. Yuanyuan's intrusion completely became his salvation. It turns out that once people get used to loneliness, it is a sadder thing than sadness. Yuanyuan felt that the name Zhang Jakai was not good. She named him K, and at the same time she called herself Cream, bound each other with 2 words with similar pronunciations. It alludes to the creamy intimacy between the two. K is a nickname, not a name. Anyway, she will call him K in the future, and after the two of them live together, they often nestle on the sofa at night to watch movies, share snacks and time. This companionship made Jakai's frozen heart gradually melt. It also made him fall deeply in love with Yuanyuan and getting along, and regarded her as the only light in his life. Jakai's love accumulates in daily bits and pieces. But at the age of 16, his father died of leukemia. He was diagnosed with the same disease, and he was abandoned by his mother. He knows that life is impermanent. He decided that he could not give Yuanyuan a long-term future. If she confesses, she will suffer alone after his death, and even delay her search for normal happiness. Because he has cancer cells in him that are ready to wake up at any time. They were lucky enough to get into the same record label. Yuanyuan is the lyricist, Xiaojun, as an artist of the record company, backed by her couple Ji-gu to get resource support. However, she has obvious business shortcomings. Her singing strength is weak, and it is even difficult to control the songs carefully composed by Yuanyuan and Zhang Jakai. For Yuanyuan, the lyrics are her emotional sustenance, and Xiaojun's lame singing and wanting to tamper with the lyrics. Not only did she ruin her hard work, but she also made Yuanyuan irritable in the center of her work. When Xiaojun changed the lyrics again in the recording room, Yuanyuan accused him. Xiaojun didn't care, and Yuanyuan immediately stepped forward and tore up with Xiaojun. As soon as Jakai arrived home, he saw Yuanyuan curled up on the sofa, covering himself with a cloth and crying bitterly. So he hurriedly stepped forward to comfort the other party. After Yuan Yuan saw Zhikai, she immediately hugged him, and tears couldn't stop flowing from Yuan Yuan's mouth. She learned that she had a dispute with Xiao Jun and the company, and the other party insisted on changing her lyrics to forever. But Yuan Yuan doesn't like the word forever because she thinks that between couples, as long as one of them is gone, there is no such thing as forever. If she had to change the lyrics, she would like to change it to next life. The next life is like an agreement. If there was a next life, what would you like to be? If there is really a next life, Zhikai wants to be an item to accompany Yuan Yuan, a pair of glasses, or a ring. This sentence expressed Zhikai's sadness and helplessness. Zhikai has already helped her intercede in front of Brother Ji to keep her job. With the blessing of Zhikai's inspiration, Yuan Yuan handed the revised lyrics to Xiao Jun. Unexpectedly, Xiao Jun not only understood the meaning of the lyrics, but even regarded this song as the title song of the album. Yuan Yuan took the initiative to apologize to her. Xiao Jun not only doesn't care, but also becomes good friends with Yuan Yuan. But Xiao Jun's singing is ugly. It has indeed become a direct trouble in Yuan Yuan's workplace. Due to the relationship between Brother Ji, even if Yuan Yuan is not satisfied with Xiao Jun's singing, she could only endure it silently. Xiao Jun finally recognized Yuan Yuan at this point. Zhikai strongly recommended Yuan Yuan's lyrics as the title song at the meeting. After the title song was finalized, Zhikai suddenly felt dizzy at the meeting. He knew in his heart that there was not much time left. So Zhikai kept encouraging Yuan Yuan when he saw her. Zhikai told Yuan Yuan about the title song. Yuan Yuan hugged Zhikai excitedly. At this time, Xiao Jun's intrusion broke the subtle atmosphere. She vaguely sensed that something was wrong between Yuan Yuan and Zhang Zhikai, and didn't ask much. Xiao Jun decided to add a meal to celebrate this success. Zhikai knew that his condition was deteriorating and came to the hospital alone for examination. The doctor advised him to quit his job, let him recuperate at home. Bone marrow transplantation has become the only hope, and it is difficult to find a matching bone marrow. His life was counted down again. He chose to swallow this despair alone, without revealing a single word to Yuan Yuan. After returning home, Zhikai pretended to be calm and accompanied Yuan Yuan to dinner. Yuan Yuan had already noticed the ambiguity and restraint between the two. She took the initiative to ask Zhikai about the love in her heart through the atmosphere. But he wanted her to find a good man to marry. Yuan Yuan asked why it wasn't him, but he didn't feel like he was a good man. In the face of Yuan Yuan's initiative, Zhikai was full of joy, but he was trapped by his illness. He knows that he can't give a round future. The unknown of bone marrow transplantation, the death that may come at any time. Let him dare not respond to this love. In the end, I could only use the words, "I'm not a good man." He pushed Yuan Yuan away fiercely, locking his love in the boundaries of his friends. Yuan Yuan was about to speak and responded with a subtle expression. She didn't say much. Xiao Jun saw the delicate relationship between the two, so he asked Yuan Yuan bluntly if he liked Zhikai. Yuan Yuan took the initiative to tell the whole story of the relationship between the two. Xiao Jun learned that the two had been living together since they lost their families when they were teenagers. They have eaten and lived together for many years and have a tacit understanding like family, but they have never established a relationship. Even they were shocked on the spot, without substantive intimacy. She couldn't understand this loving but forbearing mode of getting along. This is so abnormal. Xiao Jun saw that Yuan Yuan was disappointed because of the rejection. Combined with her own view of love, she proposed to find a man with good conditions to date, which made Zhikai jealous. Maybe he will take the initiative to confess. In the evening, Yuan Yuan was invited to the ball. Her eyes were fixed on a mature man, and after being introduced by a friend, it was her high school classmate or a dentist. Yuan Yuan instantly became interested, and she took the initiative to talk to Yang Yuxian, deliberately showing a good impression. Yuan Yuan lied that he didn't have a wine glass, took a sip directly from the other party's wine glass, and then deliberately left his own traces on it. She successfully caught Dr. Yang's attention. Soon Yuan Yuan took the initiative to approach him to check for dental problems. She also mentioned the misunderstanding of the indirect kiss in the wine glass last night. Dr. Yang was very embarrassed and overwhelmed. At this point, Yang Yuxian, the number one person wronged, appeared. The intersection of Yuan Yuan and Yang Yuxian. This really stung Zhikai with precision, and also strengthened his determination to push Yuan Yuan to happiness. Zhikai pretended not to care on the surface, but in his heart, he endured the torment of seeing his lover close to others. He felt a little relieved that Yuan Yuan had a home. He was heartbroken for this fate that did not belong to him. Zhikai has been waiting for the bone marrow for 7 years. It's not that he doesn't have the motivation to live. It's just that he feels like he can't wait any longer. The doctor has told him that his life has entered an accelerated countdown. He only has less than a year left. If it weren't for this disease, how could he be willing to give the woman he loves the most to other men to take care of? The only thing he can do now is to help Yuan Yuan find a good man to entrust for life. In order to make the happiness of Song Yuan Yuan and Yang Yuxian safe enough, Zhang Zhikai took the initiative to ask for help from the record company boss Ji Go. He entrusted Brother Ji to secretly investigate Yang Yuxian's details. On the other side, Yuan Yuan began to pursue Yang Yuxian. She took the gift record and went to the clinic to give it to him in person, and took the initiative to invite him to drink after work. She asked Dr. Yang, "Do men love duplicity?" And she will confide in him about Zhikai's implicit incomprehension. Dr. Yang did not answer directly. He just confessed to Yuan that he was engaged. Yuan was stunned for a moment, but she didn't deliberately distance herself. She took the engagement ring in her hand and played with it. If love can be explained, no one in the world will suffer because of it. The results of the investigation made Jikai feel a little relieved. Brother G not only verified that Yang Yuxian had a good family background and good conduct, and was an honor student who graduated from dentistry. He also found out that he already had a fiancée, and his fiancée, as a well-known photographer, had an ambiguous relationship with a number of people of the opposite sex in private. This made Jikai sweat for Yuan. After returning home in the evening, Yuan was drunk. Jikai couldn't help but ask her what she liked about Dr. Yang. Yuan didn't answer the question, but urged Jikai to go to bed quickly. This discovery made Jikai fall into despair again. He couldn't let Yuan take any damage. He couldn't let her become a third party in other people's feelings. So on the basis of the investigation, Jikai further took extreme measures. He found someone to secretly take intimate photos of his fiancée with others. However, he was preparing. When he sent him a photo of Dr. Yang's fiancée cheating, he suddenly fell ill and fainted. Fortunately, his friend took him to the hospital in time. When Yuan arrived at the hospital, Jikai had already woken up and also made a confession with the doctor. He lied that he was just anemic. This kind of anemia will not have much impact on life. At the same time, Dr. Yang also received photos of his fiancée cheating. After Yang Yuxian received the photos sent anonymously, he was hit hard by his belief in stable love. The picture in the photo completely shattered his trust in his feelings. He immediately asked his fiancée. The two met in a familiar place, and after meeting, he handed her the photo. His tone was full of disappointment and anger, and he asked her why she betrayed the relationship. In the face of conclusive evidence, the fiancée initially tried to justify her indulgence by saying that she needed inspiration for her photography. But Yang Yuxian has already seen through the paleness of this rhetoric. The two gradually escalated from a dispute to a fierce quarrel, and the warmth of the past was worn away by suspicion and accusation. So you are with me for your creation? In the end, the quarrel ended with the breakdown of the relationship between the two. His fiancée, as a well-known photographer, has a strong personality and is proud, knowing that Jikai anonymously sent cheating photos. After he deliberately provoked her relationship with Yang Yuxian, he immediately found Jikai to confront him and added a stick to Jikai. She warned him sternly while fighting that she was not allowed to interfere with her affairs with Yang Yuxian again. Fortunately, a bang happened to be present at this time. Seeing this, he immediately stepped forward to stop it to avoid further escalation of the conflict. Jikai, who was beaten, was silent and forbearant throughout the whole process. After the conflict, Jikai came to the bar with a bang to get drunk with exhaustion and pain. Catalyzed by the dim light and alcohol, Jikai finally took off his strong disguise and confided his secret to a bang. The reason why he deliberately broke up Yang Yuxian was not to maliciously destroy other people's feelings, but to want to leave before he left. He wants to find a healthy and reliable person for Yuan, who is dependent on each other for life, so that she can live a stable and happy life in a world without herself. After listening to this, Abang completely understood Jikai's good intentions. After receiving Abang's understanding and support, Jikai and Abang found their fiancé again. This time Jikai was no longer the passive beaten, but took the prepared money and took the initiative to negotiate with his fiancé. He took the initiative to apologize and begged her to take the initiative to leave Yang Yuxian. She threw the money back directly. She also said that her current achievements depend on Dr. Yang's early support. As long as Dr. Yang does not take the initiative to break up with her, it is impossible for her to leave Dr. Yang. Jikai had no choice but to admit his condition and his feelings for Yuan. He begged her to take the initiative to leave Yang Yuxian, give Yuan a chance, and give himself a reason to leave with peace of mind. The person he loves falls in love with her fiancé. Looking at the man in front of him who was covered in scars but had determined eyes, she listened to his affectionate and desperate pleas, and she slowly turned from anger and hostility to silent scrutiny. In the end, she put forward a condition. Let Jikai be the model for her death-themed photo exhibition and record the last state of his life with the lens. She wanted to exchange this for her voluntary break-off of the engagement. Jikai agreed to this condition with little hesitation. On the other side, Yuan took the supper and sent it to Dr. Yang. Looking at the steaming supper in his hand, coupled with meticulous care, Dr. Yang was very moved and began to slowly accept Yuan's love. At Xiaojuan's filming site, Yuan specially brought Yang Yuxian to let him officially get acquainted with Jikai. The picture of the three of them in the same frame. This became the most piercing and gentle torture in Jikai's heart. After filming, everyone proposed to go to a bar to get together. Jikai held his body and declined on the grounds that he was busy with work. But as soon as he turned around and walked out of the photography scene, his leukemia relapsed and a violent dizziness struck. In a trance, Jikai's mind surged. My mind was full of what my fiancé looked like during filming. Yang Yoshin's fiancé asked him questions about life and regrets throughout the process. She asked Jikai why he didn't tell the truth. They have no family since they were 16 years old, and he is her only relative now. What is he going to say? Those seemingly ordinary questions hit every word of the pain of being terminally ill and having to push away his lover. Her questioning was like a mirror, reflecting the fragility he was desperately hiding, and also made him more and more aware of his time is running out. Fulfilling Yuan Yuan's happiness is the only thing he can do. The fiancé kept the agreement with Zhang Zhikai and met Yang Yuxian in a cafe, ready to take the initiative to break up. But Yang Yuxian has already realized he spoke first to end the relationship. Although she had been prepared, she was disrupted by this sudden preemptive speech. Yang Yuxian's initiative. It makes this breakup a little less embarrassing and more decent. When leaving, the fiancé pretended to be chic, but she couldn't help but shed tears from the corners of her eyes. That night, Yang Yuxian found Yuan Yuan. He informed Yuan Yuan of the news that he had broken up with his fiancée. Yuan Yuan also took off some of her disguise and opened her heart to him. She told her relationship with Zhang Zhikai. Since she lost her family at the age of 16, she has been dependent on each other. They have lived together for 13 years and are both family and friends. Half of Yuan Yuan's confidation is honesty with Yang Yuxian. The other half is her covert catharsis about her own feelings. This late-night conversation allowed the two to put aside their concerns and come together. After becoming free, Yang Yuxian began to officially date Yuan Yuan, preparing surprises for Yuan Yuan with tenderness and sincerity. He spends his daily time with her, trying to play a role that can give her happiness. Pick an option chain for her at Christmas. He was looking forward to the future with her, and Yuan Yuan's response was always deliberately cooperative. After Yuan Yuan confirmed the relationship with Yang Yuxian, he suddenly asked Zhikai seriously about his views on marriage. She even tentatively asked him about his attitude towards her marriage. At that time, Zhikai's condition had entered an accelerated period. Zhikai suppressed his surging emotions and said that getting married means that when you are old, you have someone by your side. This is also a destination that requires a sense of ritual. Every word is blessed, but every word hides regret. You've been with me since I was 16 years old. Do you ignore me when I'm old? That's different. On the surface, the two were still fighting and playing as before, relying on each other, as if this inquiry about marriage was just ordinary chatter. But only Zhikai himself knows that every time he disguises himself, it is accompanied by an indescribable dull pain in his heart. Yuan Yuan took out the song the two co-wrote and asked Zhikai to sing it to her. This song hides the unspeakable feelings between the two for many years. When Zhikai hummed softly, his voice was full of indissoluble tenderness and pulse. Every lyric is like his confession. Yuan Yuan listened quietly, with tears hidden in his eyes. Soon after, Yang Yuxian took the initiative to visit Zhikai. The two had a long talk. Zhikai deliberately emphasized that he and Yuan Yuan were just family members, and they had been dependent on each other since the age of 16. He wanted to draw a clear line and make Yang Yuxian feel at ease. Surprisingly, Yang Yuxian has already seen through the deep bond between the two, and not only fully understands this emotion that transcends friends, he also sincerely begged Zhikai to help choose a wedding dress for Yuan Yuan, which was also Yuan Yuan's last wish. When Zhikai accompanied Yuan Yuan to choose a wedding dress, he was mistaken for the groom by the waiter and suggested that he try on the dress. He was already carrying the pain of sending his lover to marry with his own hands, and the waiter's words pierced all his disguise like a key. Under Yuan Yuan's repeated persuasion, Zhikai couldn't resist the remaining thoughts in his heart after all. He changed into a dress and stood next to Yuan Yuan in a wedding dress. At that moment, the white wedding dress and the straight dress. The two seemed to be really lovers who are about to get married. The shutter was pressed, and this fake consumable group photo was frozen. It also freezes Zhikai's most precious fantasy. But this dream is fleeting. The waiter's words and the sweetness of the group photo are constantly reminding him that the groom is not his own cruel reality. He could no longer pretend to be calm, so he could only escape the bridal shop in embarrassment, all the sadness, unwillingness, and despair. They are all hidden by him in a corner that no one knows. When I was alone, the appearance of Yuan Yuan wearing a wedding dress repeatedly appeared in my mind. It was a scene that he couldn't have even if he exhausted his life. The emotions that had been backlogged for years completely exploded. He took off all his strength and cried regardless of his image. But tears can't be exchanged for miracles after all. After the fantasy faded, he was left with only the fate of leukemia and the regret of not being able to love, which was suffocatingly heavy. The next night, Yuan Yuan deliberately shared her daily life with Yang Yuxian in front of Zhikai, pretending to be immersed in sweetness. Then she tentatively asked him why he suddenly fled from the bridal shop. Faced with Yuan Yuan's question, Zhikai knew that he couldn't show half his sincerity, so his attitude instantly changed coldly and hard, and he deliberately distanced himself. At this moment, the phone rang. The strange girl called Zhikai. Zhikai used an alienated gesture to hint that he had a new relationship. Let Yuan Yuan give up completely. Why don't you let me answer the phone? The woman's voice on the other end of the phone. He pretended to deliberately bicker with the girls. The girl who called was Yang Yuxian's ex-girlfriend. Zhikai found her before and confessed his illness and feelings for Yuan Yuan. He begged her to help play his date. With this carefully planned empathy and farewell love, it is used to cut off Yuan Yuan's thoughts about himself. The flower language of cactus is thorny on the outside. There is also a soft heart, which means eternal love. So Zhikai asked her to send a pot of cactus to Yuan Yuan every year for the next 3 years after his death. With the arrival of pots of cacti, Yuan Yuan will slowly get used to this silent companionship. Let her mistakenly think that he just exists in a different way, and over time he will no longer be obsessed with his disappearance. She can really let go of the past. He wants to replace himself with a cactus and keep this love that crosses life and death. Love to the extreme is both fulfillment and regret. If you're afraid, call for help. If you don't say something, it's too late, you know? As the wedding approached, Zhang Zhikai took the initiative to send a message to Song Yuan Yuan to apologize for his previous deliberate alienation and cold attitude. Their backlog of estrangement quietly dissolved. The two made an appointment to eat together, but there was no frolicking and jubilation of the past. Silence enveloped each other like a tide, hiding tacit pain in every second. The sound of bowls and chopsticks colliding on the dinner table made the atmosphere even heavier. The two tacitly took out their mobile phones. They apologized to each other with words instead of words. Zhikai in front of the screen. His fingertips trembled and typed the words, "I love you." This is the voice of his heart that he has been hiding for more than 10 years. But the fate of leukemia and the upcoming wedding made him not press the send button after all. Silently deleted those 3 words and replaced them with a pale but heavy sentence, "You want to be happy." This dinner was the last gentle farewell of the two. On the wedding day, Zhikai was dressed in formal attire. He led Yuan Yuan in a white wedding dress and slowly walked down the red carpet in the name of his family. The red carpet is very short, but it seems that the two have been together for more than 10 years. The pace is very slow, and every step is saying goodbye to each other's past. His hand held her tightly, and the temperature of his palm was the last attachment. The tenderness and reluctance in his eyes, hiding his countless unspoken concerns. Walked up to Yang Yuxian. Zhikai took a deep breath and solemnly handed Yuan Yuan's hand to Yang Yuxian's hand. The moment his fingertips were released, he seemed to have unloaded 1,000 pounds of burden, and he seemed to have lost the whole world. He didn't say a word, just held back his tears. He turned around and walked away quickly, his back thin and determined. He doesn't want to die, who doesn't want to have a good life, but he can't. His tears finally gushed out at the moment he turned around, dripping at the end of the red carpet. His tears poured out this sadness of not being able to love. The wedding of Yuan Yuan and Yang Yuxian came to an end. When Yang Yuxian was looking forward to returning to the new house of the two, the house was empty, and Yuan Yuan had long since disappeared. There is only a voice recorder lying quietly on the table. Yang Yuxian pressed the play button with doubts. "I'm really sorry." Yuan Yuan's gentle but choked voice slowly flowed out, and a paragraph was covered up by double disguise. An affectionate past was revealed. It also made him finally understand that he was from beginning to end. He is just a bystander in sad love. Her love began with knowing Zhikai. It already exists in her life and can no longer be separated. In the voice recorder, Yuan Yuan told in detail about the bond with Zhang Zhikai that spanned more than 10 years. In high school, she witnessed the scene of Zhikai being abandoned by her mother, the one curled up in the corner. The boy with empty eyes is very much like himself, who is lonely and helpless after losing his parents. Empathy connected to the same fate. She took the initiative to approach Zhikai. It was not a whimsical tease, but a mutual redemption of 2 broken souls. They chose to huddle together for warmth and have since become each other's only family. Memories flood back to the year of the workplace. After she had an argument with company singer Xiao Jun, she hid under the quilt and cried bitterly. She is not just aggrieved in the workplace, but she has long been secretly uneasy in her heart. She felt sorry for Zhikai for enduring the pain. It turned out that before this, she was in the corner of Zhikai's closet. She accidentally discovered a powerful painkiller hidden in a vitamin bottle instead of a tonic in Zhikai's mouth. She secretly took the medicine and went to the pharmacy to ask. When the doctor informed her, it was an analgesic drug used by patients with advanced leukemia, and the moment the patient's time was running out, her world seemed to collapse. A huge panic struck with fear. In a trance, she actually saw Zhikai. He got into the car where his parents had an accident. The past loss overlapped with the current crisis, making her almost suffocate. She cried and shouted, telling him not to go, to stop. She looks forward to the next life, and they can meet again in the next life. Zhikai's condition has entered an accelerated period, and frequent dizziness and forbearant coughing have made Yuan Yuan's heart like a knife. She wanted to expose the truth countless times and stay by his side to take good care of him, but she overheard it in the hospital. Zhikai's conversation with the doctor. "I'm not important, but she's different. She only has one person, and she needs someone to accompany her." She heard Zhikai's despair, and she also heard his greatest wish. He hoped that she could marry a healthy and reliable man and spend her life in peace. At that moment, Yuan Yuan understood all of Zhikai's forbearance and pushing, and also made up his mind. Cooperate with all his plans and fulfill his last wish, so that he can spend the rest of his life without regrets. So he took the initiative to approach Yang Yuxian from the ball, until she cooperated with Zhikai to play the drama of empathy and parting love. "I'm sorry, Wahyun, I took advantage of you. The person she loved the most was dying, and she really couldn't worry about that much. She was suffering great grief. It's a pity for Yang Yuxian. However, Yang Yuxian was already aware of it during his relationship. He knew that Yuan Yuan had a place in Jikai's heart, but he would still tolerate Yuan Yuan. Maybe in the eyes of Zhang Jikai and Song Yuan Yuan, all ordinary people lose his love, and they're going to lose their lives. Yuan Yuan has looked forward to Jikai's return countless times. Even if it is just once, he will pour out all his confessions. Jikai was afraid that she would not be able to bear the separation of life and death, so she preferred to hide her illness. He deliberately distanced himself. Everyone underestimated this bond, and it was as determined as an acacia bird. A bird died, another bird will follow. They have long been dependent on the symbiosis of souls. In the name of fulfilling each other's happiness, they pushed each other away, but they didn't know that this emotion that crossed life and death could not tolerate their own safe retreat. Can you practice the wedding process with me? Are you willing to marry the man standing in front of you as his wife? I do. I used to think we can keep holding hands and walking down. I just didn't expect it. In the real world, it was Kay who handed me over to another person with his own hands. My feelings for Kay, from the age of 16 to now, have been buried too deep, and I can no longer fish them out. Every step is a performance she carefully coordinates. The recording is full of her guilt and pain. At the end of the recording, Yuan Yuan's voice was relieved and firm. She pretended to be immersed in the sweetness with Yang Yuxian, but in fact she watched her sweetheart being tortured by illness, watching him hand over herself to others with her own hands. Every smile hides tears, and every cooperation is painful like a knife. Her tacit understanding with Jikai is that she loves to the extreme and is willing to disguise herself. At this time, Jikai had been admitted to the hospital due to deteriorating condition, and his life was about to come to an end. She didn't want to continue to pretend and waste each other's last time, so she resolutely left and rushed to the hospital to accompany him on his final journey. It's okay, it's going to be fine. The grass and trees in the cemetery were silent, and Yang Yuxian held a bouquet of white chrysanthemums in his hand and stood slowly in front of the tombstone. There was no fierce emotion on his face, only unconcealable loneliness and sadness, all written in his drooping eyes and tight shoulder line. Soon after, Yang Yuxian's ex-girlfriend's photo exhibition was held as scheduled, with the theme of death and deadlines. Yang Yuxian went as scheduled and reunited with his ex-girlfriend he hadn't seen for a long time in the exhibition hall. Faded away from the disputes and estrangements of the past, the two were able to have a long talk calmly. His ex-girlfriend took him to the exhibition hall in advance. The exhibition hall is filled with a calm and heavy atmosphere, and the walls are covered with death-themed photographs. The most striking, it's all about Zhang Jikai's images. In the corner of the exhibition area, Jikai's relics are also displayed. Looking at these exhibits, she sighed softly and admitted that she still couldn't understand Zhang Jikai's approach. She admitted that she had underestimated the magic of love in the past, and stubbornly believed that even if Jikai passed away, Yuan Yuan can always slowly get out of sadness and embrace life again. Faced with the confusion of his ex-girlfriend, Yang Yuxian was silent for a long time, but his eyes were already clear. He has experienced deep love and loss, witnessed the torment of two-way disguise between the two, and finally understood the deep meaning of that line at this moment. If love can be explained, no one in this world will suffer because of it. The love between Yuan Yuan and Jikai, it has long transcended the definition of the world. It is not simply liking or possessing, but the symbiotic bond of life with the happiness of the other person. They have both struggled alone in the quagmire of fate, and each other is each other's only life. Jikai was afraid that Yuan Yuan would not be able to bear the separation of life and death, and Yuan Yuan was afraid that Jikai would leave with regret. This obsession of must make the other party happy has long been engraved in the bone marrow. They are like the fate of lovesick birds. One leaves, and the other never lives alone. The hut filled with their memories became their final destination. There are no wedding dresses and dresses. There were only two lovers who had taken off all their disguise and snuggled up tightly. Remember you asked me, what is my wish? My greatest wish is to be with you forever. The ending of the story is, in the end, the two took the last photo with tears, and Jikai died of illness at home, full of memories. Thank you for everything you have done for me. Yuan Yuan was devastated after Jikai's death. She took sleeping pills, snuggled up in his arms, and went with him. Yang Yuxian buried the two together, and the tombstone was engraved with their names and photos, so that they would never be separated after death. The film detonated social networks when it was released. People say that there is a serious problem with the values of such films. Maybe contemporary people are under too much pressure and need to find a channel to vent. Everyone longs for love, but it is too difficult to find a love of their own. You can only look for some pain points in the movie. The film is the same as the Korean version. What we are left with is not only the tears of youthful pain, but also a deep reflection on love and happiness. In this era of being coerced by materials and rules, may we all be brave, and we don't have to hide our sincerity with perfection. After all, some things are too late without saying anything, and some people will never be able to reunite if they miss it. And true happiness has always belonged only to those who are loyal to their hearts.